So a couple of weeks ago, I conducted a Reddit poll and asked participants to rank the SAT sections from easiest to hardest. Now, each SAT test may have its own strengths and weaknesses that make it harder or easier for somebody. Moreover, each student also has their own strengths and weaknesses that can make some sections harder or some that are easier. But in this video, we're going to rank the 4 SAT sections overall from easiest to hardest using data I gathered from the community and my own opinions. In 4th place, which is our easy section, we have the Math No Calculator section. This is the easiest section for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the questions are often simpler and the concepts are less complicated than the other sections. Students have already often learned these topics in previous math classes. If you're a fast worker, some of the questions may even take seconds to solve. Moreover, there are only 20 questions for 25-minute time limit, which is the least amount for a section. So you'll probably have less fatigue as you push through to the finish line. The third hardest section is the Math with Calculator section. Firstly, there are far more questions, 38 in total, with 8 of them being grading questions, as compared to 5 in the Math No Calculator section. Moreover, some of the concepts are more complicated, and there are often more multi-step problems and sets of questions that come from a short passage with a graph or table. Often, the last 5 or 10 multiple choice questions in the Math Calculator section can be grueling and may occasionally have trick answers. However, this section isn't nearly as difficult as the other hardest 2 sections because the concepts you need to answer the questions are usually taught in math lessons or can be learned from an SAT prep book. In 2nd place, we have writing. SAT writing involves fixing grammatical errors in passages and evaluating the choices the author makes. This section presents 44 questions for a 35-minute time, so the timing isn't too terribly difficult. However, in this section, some of the question types are challenging for students, including those add, delete, revise questions, word choice, and idioms because non-English speakers may not be used to them. Test takers may also sometimes just choose an answer based on what sounds right, which may lead to them choosing a trick answer that lowers their score. Writing is often the section that I overestimate my score on the most because of this. Just remember, if it sounds right, it may not always be right. Finally, for the hardest section, we have the notorious reading. Reading is often the hardest because the concepts aren't clear-cut like in math or writing. For the hardest reading questions, you can't really study methods to solve them like you memorize a list of formulas in math. Improving in SAT reading involves critical thinking and a more deeper knowledge of material, which isn't needed much in SAT writing or math. Additionally, the test is long, with 52 questions allotted for a whole hour and 5 minutes of time. If you consistently score high in SAT reading, then you've got those critical reading skills and are able to understand the details of a piece of text quickly, a skill that is extremely challenging to many and makes SAT reading the hardest. Anyways, that was my ranking of the SAT sections from easiest to hardest. Comment below, what is your ranking of the SAT sections? These tests are subjective, so you may have a different opinion than me on the subject, but let us know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be the first to receive new content. And until next time, see you later.